Hey, Fifth Line. Mike Todd here, in arena host for your Columbus Blue Jackets, and you're listening to the Subjectively Speaking podcast. And now, here's Jeremy Paul and Laura Norman.
All right, Rick, so this is your first off season as the Director of Player Personnel and Development since the promotion. So just talk to us a little bit about how that has changed the dynamic for you going into this off season and what it's been like in that new role during the first few months.
Yeah, well, really not much has changed. Obviously trying to have a big impact on the development of our players and working with some pretty good development coaches that we have in Columbus. But on top of that, just keeping my same duties that I've been doing over the last little bit and continue on from there.
Good deal.
And then what's important for you to make sure that the prospects learn about Columbus as an organization, but also Columbus as a city in the short amount of time that they're here?
Yeah, so it's funny, we always have that conversation about development camp, whether they're here to develop or we're here to evaluate them.
Yes.
And anytime a player steps on the ice, it's hard for a scout or a GM or management not to evaluate. But that's not the point of these camps. These camps are to educate them, in the weight room, on the ice, to develop them, see where their skills are at, and also, like you mentioned in your question, is try to show them Columbus a bit and help them fall in love with the city that a lot of us have fell in love with, and show them some things to do around town and all those different things.
Amazing.
Yeah, when you think back to, you've been here, right? Like, you've been in their shoes, right? What did you take away from this experience, and what do you hope that they take away from a similar experience?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of these kids haven't been to Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
You think if you grow up in Canada or the Toronto area, your main reason to travel is for hockey, and that's usually to Detroit or Buffalo or Boston or Minnesota. It's just, I feel like a lot of these kids have never experienced Ohio or Columbus unless they played in the Big Ten and the NCAA, and they
Sure.
came in just to play the Buckeyes, which you still don't get a full understanding of the city and the suburbs. So, we try to let them know that there's nice areas downtown to live. There's nice areas to go eat. Once you do play here for a while and you raise a family, there's great places to live, great suburbs, great schools. So that's all in our idea of telling the kids about Columbus. But most of all too is just trying to help them, give them the tools to go back to their summer ice sessions, their summer workout sessions, with the tools and different ideas of how to train, how to skate. We have Lee Harris here, our skating coach. So in the gym, they're working with our strength coach. So just different tools that they can go home for the summer and kind of use them to become a Blue Jacket.
That's great. So shift away a little bit, but it's been a busy, heavy news week for the Blue Jackets. And we know for sure that something we know for sure is that the guys who are here for development camp want nothing more than to show us what it is to compete for an NHL roster spot. But what does the Fifth Line have to look forward to with the prospects pool that's here this week?
Yeah, well, there's 34 prospects here. Obviously, it seems like each year the most exciting player is the first round pick that we just drafted, and this year was Oscar Hemming. Obviously, he's a younger guy, still 17. Playing at an NCAA level, which is pretty impressive, and he's almost at 6'5", so he's a big power forward that has a lot of skill and likes to play with a mean edge. So that's the exciting one over the next couple of days, I think. But then you just start kind of wheeling it back, and you have Jackson Smith here, Caden Lindstrom, William Whitelaw, who I think this is his third development camp. He was one of the best players in NCAA hockey last year with Western Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So it is really fun to kind of get to see these guys, because this is what I'm usually doing during the season, is traveling around, seeing them, and then to get the chance to bring them into Columbus and showcase them here in front of our fans, in front of the Fifth Line. I think it's important for our organization to do that.
Good deal. And you mentioned it a minute ago, right? The hope is that players are leaving here with an understanding of what it means to be a Blue Jacket. And I think for a lot of people in the Fifth Line, they look at somebody like you and they think that is somebody who embodies everything it means to be a Blue Jacket, right? Whether that's playing days or beyond. And so from your definition, just want to know, what makes a player a Blue Jacket?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and that praise in your question. That's nice of you to say. I always thought of myself as a Blue Jacket, even when I left for New York. This is kind of where my heart was, and obviously, always knew I was going to come back here. But what makes a Blue Jacket, that kind of hits home, and I think about John H. McConnell and Mr. Mack. I think of the way that he kind of grew up and built Worthington Industries and Worthington Steel right out of his garage, and then I think about a Blue Jacket, an organization that's been through a lot in the last 25 years, but we know we're a smaller organization and kind of a boutique feel here, but we're going to work, we're going to compete, we're going to work out of our garage as long as we have to kind of get out there and win a championship and play meaningful hockey and playoff hockey, and I think of players that want to bring their lunch pail and their hard hat and go to work and do something that's really hard to get to that level, because then it's just going to be that much more satisfying once we do get there, and that's what I think a Blue Jacket is.
I couldn't agree more. Just that like homegrown, pride from the get-go sort of thing. So the tides are turning in terms of a player's ability to control where their career takes them. As a former player, what's it like to see that transition in real time? And how can that change how someone like you does their job?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because it's just a different landscape we're in. It seems like it's been that way where players want to win and organizations want to win, but sometimes it just doesn't line up with the player's vision and the organization's vision. That's just the reality of the business we're in. It seems like every team kind of goes through it. It's almost like a huge percentage of players go through it by the time their career is over. Whether something happens, you never know. But when you're around an organization, everyone wants the same goal, and it's just about kind of keeping that communication line open and trying to get to that end goal at the end of the day, which is the Stanley Cup.
Good deal. And then lastly, just as a former player, right, with all the conversations that were happening around the idea of keeping Rick Bowness around for another year, I just want to know from your perspective, having a chance to work with him a little bit in your role now, obviously, right, playing in the league during the time that he was coaching, playing against teams that were coached by him, what about Rick Bowness really has surprised you, or maybe not surprised you, but has been what you would say would be the most transformative piece of his presence here, right? From your perspective, why was keeping him here so important?
Yeah, well, funny enough, before Rick got here, I didn't really know him at all, but coming to these development camps early on in my career was with his son, Ryan, who's now a assistant GM with the Islanders. So, obviously I still keep in touch with Ryan. He became a very close friend of mine through the years, and his hockey path and my hockey path, and then we still keep in touch. So that was kind of my first call to find out about his dad, and you just know when you're that close of friends with someone, you kind of know that they come from a good place, and that being Rick. So, we were impressed with what he did for the time being that he came last year, and then, I think it's just important that the guys have a similar voice for a little bit in our dressing room, to have some success, especially with some of our younger guys to build on the end of the season that they had last year. But we're lucky to have them. We'll see where it goes this year. You hope the message kind of hits the same way as it did when he first stepped in, and time will tell on that one.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a follow-up here for you on that too, because I think about, from your role around player development and continued growth, that, right, like the change, like you said, behind the bench can create some challenge, right, in that development pipeline or that development timeline, I would say. And so I wonder, from your perspective, as a guy who's had to keep track of the whole, organization's, depth of development and such, how have you played a pivotal role in making sure that there's some continuity, regardless of who's behind the bench in Columbus, some continuity for the way that these players are being developed in the pipeline?
Yeah, it's a good question, because the development and the definition of NHL Blue Jacket, in 2023 under X coach might be different in 2026 under a different coach. So, I'm lucky working with Matthew and Anthony Donskoff and Tommy Cross. Brad Thiessen handles our goalies, and we kind of sat down and we decided what makes a Blue Jacket a Blue Jacket, no matter who the coach is. So what are the non-negotiables that you have to do to become a Columbus Blue Jacket and an NHL hockey player? And as a development staff, we kind of came up with our non-negotiables, our list of things that players have to do, whether the coach is Rick Bowness or the coach is anyone else in the NHL. These are things that the guys have to do. So it's a great question, and that's kind of what we did. We like to keep those things internally, because we believe that if we can get the guys to do it, we can get them to become NHLers. That's what we did, but it's a great question because it can change every time a new coach comes around, but we thought we had some things in line.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, no one knows how to get there better than you do, my friend, so appreciate the time.
Well, thank you both. That was fun.
Let's go ahead and just dive right in. So, Charlie, welcome to the show. Glad to have you. So, can you just tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, this past season for you, right? You wrapped up your WHL career and make that transition to your first experience as a pro. So, talk to us just a little bit about how the year wrapped up for you and what you learned from this last season.
Yeah, no, for sure. Being in the dub was great. I think our team there, was just on average, we started off hot, but at the end of the year got tough. But I feel like going from that to Cleveland obviously was a big jump, but
sure.
I loved it. I mean, being there for my second year was amazing, obviously, and getting to play my first couple pro games was pretty cool. So just taking that and bringing it obviously into camp now has been pretty cool, but other than that, it's starting my pro career is a dream come true, for sure.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, we're very excited for you, and we're hopeful we'll get to see you out on the big ice here soon. But so what is something, obviously it's not your first dev camp, so what is something that you took from last year's dev camp that is either become a fundamental part of your game or something that you consistently keep in the back of your mind when you're out there on the ice?
Ultimately, I just feel like you're here for a reason. Everyone's here for a reason, for all the players here, but meeting new faces, obviously come back and see the coaches, but I just feel like have fun and try to get better here. There's a lot to learn from all the coaches here, and I just feel like taking what they have to say, and strength coaches and everyone, and making friends here, I think is the biggest thing. But other than that, the on-ice stuff is huge, and just trying to be a better player every time I come here, so it's been great.
That's awesome.
Well, and your role looks a little bit different, right? Coming into this dev camp, right? You've been here before, you're not necessarily the new guy around, and so you've got some familiarity. So for you, what role do you play as a guy who's been here before with some of these guys who are here for the first time? Are you showing them around different areas that you've kind of grown accustomed to in Columbus?
Yeah.
Are you helping them learn a little bit too?
For sure. Like there's obviously new draft guys come in. Like the way that I came in when I got drafted was like that. There's older guys that I kind of knew that would give me a rundown. Obviously a little nervous coming in then, but honestly just trying to do my best to be that sort of leader for those guys, new guys coming in, obviously younger guys coming in now, and the guys that I do know here that have been for 3 or 4 years, just like me, third year, just kind of show the ropes of how it's done, pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
And so you've gotten a little bit of time to be around Columbus and experience some things outside of the rink. What are some of the things that you enjoy or favorite places you like to go so far?
Honestly, we just have gone eat pretty much so far.
It's a great city for that.
This year, yeah, so just on the strip there with like Town Hall on those spots. But honestly, we haven't done much else. I mean, last year we got to the Ohio State facilities, and that was pretty amazing. So just little stuff like that we get to, and then the soccer thing today. I'm not really sure what it is, but it'll be fun. So there's lots of things to do here, and I have yet to see the city completely, so I'm excited.
Well, hopefully you get an opportunity very soon.
Sure.
Absolutely. So, like you mentioned, this is your third dev camp, is that right?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, you probably come in each year wanting to gain something different from it, wanting to leave a different impression each year, right? So for you coming in right now, recognizing this will likely, right, be your last one, you're going to make that shift to playing in Cleveland full-time next year, right? Like, so what, for you, what are you hoping to prove here in this last, real opportunity in this dev camp kind of environment?
Obviously, to prove who I am as a player, but I just feel like the biggest thing for Dev Camp is just to, like I said, learn and get better, along with showing what I can do as a player. It's not all the time just trying to obviously show your best, but ultimately when you're learning and out there having fun, that's when you are your best. So, taking that into account, obviously you want to try to get better here, work your hardest, and go from there. Really, just put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
So when you were in Cleveland for a little bit of time, you got the opportunity to be coached by Trent Vogelhuber, who as of today is now the new assistant coach here in Columbus. What is something that you took away from being coached by him, and how has that improved your game?
Yeah, I mean, going up in the couple of times, the second time here this year in the spring, he's been a great coach. Like, even as a guy just coming in, maybe not playing the first year, then getting to play this year, he's showed me how it's done. Just in pros in general in the AHL, and he was a great coach to not only me but other guys on the team. And I think this year he really pulled together that team, and that's why we made a good playoff run, because he was someone that everyone could rely on, everyone was friends with and boys with, almost on our team. But just a very personal person and knows how to talk to people very well. So I just feel like that's the best part about him, that made it so comfortable for guys to understand him. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are the goals that you have for yourself heading into this off season, right? I mean, I know that this can be like a little bit of a difficult time to parse out, trying to just figure out, okay, am I ready to make that push for the big club? Is it going to be a season in Cleveland? So for you this off season, what are some of those goals, priorities that you're planning to work through?
Yeah, obviously shooting high. That's the biggest goal for me, is to be as best as I can going into camp, because obviously every kid wants to make the NHL as a dream come true, but be who I am as a player, and whatever happens, just try to put my best foot forward and be the best player I can be for, if it is Columbus, it's Columbus, but also for Cleveland, and just go from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we like to wrap things up with a bit of a fun question to kind of get you away from those stereotypical ones that you've been getting kind of all the last couple of days. So it's becoming kind of a tradition for fans to bring things during warm-ups, like to the glass, to trade with players for pucks. So what is something a fan could bring that would, convince you to do a trade?
Oh, that's a good one. Fans in the past have brought me those white Hershey chocolate bars, and I've traded a puck for those before, so that could be one.
Okay.
What else? I honestly don't know what people would bring to the fans. That's the issue.
You're trying to make sure people don't get caught up in security.
Honestly, anything like that. If a fan has a good sign, even I'll put a good effort in.
Yeah, super creative sign.
100%.
Got it.
So just little things like that. I love the support. Obviously, Columbus has a good fan support, and I love that. So I'm excited for whatever happens.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, we're hopeful that you're making some of those trades on the Nationwide Arena ice here sometime soon. But we appreciate you taking some time, and best of luck as you go through your off season.
No, thanks, guys.
Of course.